Okay, I remember what I was going to say. So like I kind of eased into the conceptualization thing, right? Um, and then on top of that, I was along the way I was using the scientific method to make sure I was constantly grounded to reality at every step of the way, and constantly checked against myself using counterfactuals, right? Basically, if I could, if I couldn't prove it false, I was not thinking in the right way, I guess, because the scientific method you had to come up with a disprovable theory, right? So basically, the scientific method is unwittingly also a quantumly entangled methodology because basically hypothesizing, or I guess supposing something, thinking of something, conceptualizing something in your mind's eye. I think this might be the case for this, right? You quantum tunnel your way there by like deductive reasoning. Negative 20 questions. I guess you basically find out, you can find out what's not true and basically kind of find your way to this. Basically, okay, you're through the scientific method. If you get it wrong, you just try again, right? Like, okay, like maybe, well, that wasn't right. So obviously it's not science, right? Duh. And then, so, well, basically, use science to bring it into existence in the, or to bring technology into existence in the third realm. So you're really pulling from the fourth realm, or see, I'm saying realm now, dimension, because the thing is, like, you can use any, you can use any, sorry, Oliver. You can use any word to describe what I'm about to get to next, right? So when you see schizophrenic people doing this, what they're really doing is like they're saying, okay, you'll see like a lot of disjointed words like God, eternal. Basically, they're cutting through the bullshit and they're saying these concepts. They're condensing all these dimensions down into this to get people to realize what they're talking about. That's all they're doing, because that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do so bad, but I know people are going to think I'm insane. So I have to do it this long way. Oh, and basically your mental health is just like dimensionality of this. And basically all y'all are gaslighting people who you label as having mental illnesses, which is really dimensionality. You're gaslighting them into believing like reality is fake or like they're wrong about everything. And so like they're getting like suicidal and depressed and stuff, and they feel like no one can understand them because no one can, because they're thinking a higher dimensionality. So like people who are thinking a lower, wait, this is higher, I guess, if you're going down to the eighth. People are thinking lower dimensionality are thinking more in like 3D, like I guess you could say like worldly desires, right? Because the physical world reality, they're too focused on this because their serotonin bioavailability is shit, so they can't conceptualize. And the reason their serotonin bioavailability is shit is because second dimensional realities that we create, video games that we retreat into for that, oh, so sweet serotonin and dopamine, I guess, as a result, whatever. So by focusing on the 3D, it makes us want to retreat into the 2D, to our own creative realities, because we want to become God of our own realities, because we're, I guess, narcissistic or whatever, you know. Okay, so, but we're doing it. But what we don't realize is that that's what we've been doing to the third dimension. We've been using fourth dimension to bring technology in this. Well, I don't know. We've kind of stagnated because all we're doing is just drawing from this. So we drew from this to make this to make video games and virtual reality better, I guess. And it's like, okay, well, there's scientific progress, but it's like you're not going to really advance unless you go elevate yourself to fifth dimensional physics. So that's what I did. So hold on, let me explain it. Okay, so this next part might take even longer to explain. I'm not sure. It might be easier if, since I did my due diligence of trying my best to explain quantum physics without like using like all these maths or whatever. I was just trying to logically explain it. So yeah, essentially, what you have to realize is that the many worlds interpretation. Just imagine these are all possible, like theorized, like states or whatever that you can collapse whenever you want, right? Well, everyone says they're conscious, and well, okay, they are, I guess. You just have to trust them. Trust them, bruh. Trust them. So, because once you realize you have no free will, you basically you're like, oh, I'm a part of this machine, I guess. So every non-free will having person's like other people start from, and from the day you were born, you like join here, right? Whatever. So this basically explains how everyone's real, but it also explains away how the apparent paradox of like you using the future to shift someone else's reality still can be valid. Hold on, let me explain. So essentially what you got now is the understanding that we're all collapsing the wave function unwittingly this whole time using our mind's eye. We just didn't know how to explain it because we didn't know the fifth dimension, because you need to know the higher, once you complete the dimensional rule set or physics that, once you practice the dimensional science, I guess, of it, is that what I should say. I can't even get this marker open. I guess I'll just use this one though. That's what I meant to do. I'm Schrodinger's douchebag. And because I know that, because I explored my subconscious, I can confirm that is actually something. Because I have past examples of me doing that stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, that is something I do all the time in this scenario, in this situation. So basically you come to understand your subconscious. And then you can like start like, I guess, looking into futures or whatever, which is what ancient Greek oracles were, and that's what shamans were. It all has to do with serotonin bioavailability. I don't know how to spell it. T. Yeah. Well, because the people in higher dimensional thinking, like people who are kind of close to like oracle level in real life, because I just explained how it happens in real life, how it's real. All you have to do is this, literally, and Schrodinger's douchebag your way to basically predict the future. To come to be able to predict the future. You don't start there, you have to train your ability to. Anyways. So. Dang it. See, this is a problem with third dimensional language, because it's like, it takes like a whole, and then it's like, oh wait, I need to explain this concept. I go off on this tangent, right? Because you need this concept to understand the next line, which, well, I already know this line, right? So I'm trying to like teach you this. I'm like, wait, this needs more context that I didn't explain earlier, or like some. So basically, it just like I'm jumping all over. It seems like, which seems like insanity, right? Well, I'm just like trying to find a way to like explain it in this way. Okay. All right. So basically, you proved like you're along with everyone else. None of you have free will, and you're all collapsing the wave function. So what's the point of it all, right? Well, it's like you're collapsing the wave function. Okay, so you're this person. These are other people. Basically, it confirms that you're like self-contained in your own reality, right? And it's like, well, how could that be true? Like, if you create your own reality, then you're screwing it up for the other person, because as they create their reality, like some events are going to like be crossed and like, right? Maybe you don't understand it, but using Schrodinger's douchebag, you're taking futures that haven't come to pass and like influencing other people in the wave function. So your actions ripple out in the wave function as echoes in other people's lives. So in your personal universe, this person is like an NPC, like legitimately, temporarily, until you understand this next concept. But it's their echo. It's like their essence as a whole. It's their person. So if you kill them, it does nothing to them, because like they're still going on in their own, like, right? So you're like, wait. So it's pointless to kill people, essentially, because it's like it doesn't change anything. Like the universe is still tending towards this. And it's like, okay, what's it tending towards? How can we all be right at the same time, right? Okay. You're like, all right, bro. So if I create my universe, how come I have free will but don't, is what you're saying. And it's like, okay, well, you know how you get sent back every single time you die, right? Well, so you never actually experience death. You just go back to when you were born. It's like, okay, so how do you ever progress? Well, if you're able to collapse the wave function at each time, you're able to kind of change reality, right? But not really, because you have... What you have to understand is that each time you die, you affected the wave function in the past, right? Yes. You affected the wave function in the past, but it like starts you over. And here's your life, right? I forgot why I had this one here. Anyways, it starts you over, and so since this could never be like observed or confirmed, since you died in it, you can't have ever experienced it. You can't conceptualize this, essentially. So well, then this means, like, since you can't conceptualize this, well, how did you ever... what's happening here, right? So essentially what's happening is... this is where it gets really hard to kind of understand, so bear with me. You keep repeating iterations. Each time you die, you get it wrong. There's a wrong way to navigate the wave function, because it keeps making you repeat forever, right? Seemingly. But there's a correct way to navigate the wave function to where you're immortal, because you just figure out a way to where you never get sent back, essentially. You just keep extending your life with life extension. And it's like, okay, well then, how come... Well, if you keep doing that, then you're like immortal forever. And if you know how to prevent your death, then you never die. So how's this keep expanding? It has to be one of these iterations, right? And it's like, well, no. the wave function was performed correctly by everyone. The universe observed its history and learned from it, thereby legitimizing it, collapsing the wave function. So basically, we're observing our own universe and creating it into reality altogether. Well, how could we do that? Well, because we're using a methodology by which to use the past to learn from it to stop the cycle. Otherwise, we'll keep repeating the cycle forever. Is how the fifth dimensional physics works, right? Which I guess I've never seen this discussed. So iterational physics is what I guess what I'm going to call it. Physics. So you go through these iterations, right? But there's eventually one iteration where you never go through it again. Because you can't conceptualize failing if you know how to prevent your death every single time, right? All you have to do is to prevent your death is to negative 20 questions your way of how you could prevent your death. So you know damn well how to prevent it every single time. And this presents itself as finishing the wave function, essentially. Collapsing itself. The universe observed itself, confirmed its past, and so it can finally legitimize itself. The wave function can fully collapse and quantumly tunnel to the most real state of the universe, which is the process of quantum or vacuum decay. When it finally quantum tunnels to the realest it can be, the realest the universe can be, because it stopped repeating the cycle because it finally confirmed itself into existence. So this legitimizes the universe. Vacuum decay is the point at which we're trying to achieve. We're trying to enact this because by enacting this, we've completed the wave function. Essentially, we stopped dying. We essentially became God because we figured out how to not exist forever. Because this is getting deleted behind us because it's being stored as quantum theoreticals or superposition. It's not real until you observe it because it keeps getting deleted. And this is what history is. This is literally what everyone who's ever lived got deleted, and it's just kind of you repeating it. You're kind of living in this Groundhog Day forever until you find out a way to solve it and live forever. Well, we get closer each time. We get more technology each time. It becomes easier next time because we actually learn it. We actually learn in some odd way from the last time because, well, we can see these people recorded the past. Good on them. See, what we always had to do is record the past. But how do you record the past of an iteration that gets deleted, right? How are you gonna I mean, you could leave stuff behind, and then you're probably not advanced. I don't know. Well, let's just conceptualize Iron Age. I don't know. You're probably recording, or early Mesopotamia. You're probably recording taxes or something dumb like that, right? And it's well, okay. So in this iteration, we can look back at that and confirm that happened. Collapse the wave function. Yep. Check. That happened. So basically, we just check and observe every single part of the universe until we achieve this. And the thing about how you finish the wave function is that we have to all be on the same page because all methodologies confirm the fifth dimension. And I guess I'll show that in the next video, how you can use the Bible to still reach this conclusion, which is paradoxical. But the fifth dimensional physics solves paradoxes because it explains all this. It's oh, actually, it was never a paradox. There's some eternalism about the function of the universe, and anyways, we make it into existence anyways. So it's like, well, this is six-dimensional physics, which I kind of understand to some extent, but I'm just not going to go there, because the higher you understand, more you essentially become like, you understand God's motivations, because you kind of understand how to manipulate reality essentially at some point, the more you understand about reality. Because once you collapse the wave function with everyone else, and we're on the same page, so we finally achieve this and achieve vacuum decay, you eventually learn how to, we learn how to become gods. And if we're on the same page, we can like, why, you know how I was trying to like develop fourth dimensional language? If we just keep developing our language, eventually we're gonna increase the data rate at which, at which we can I don't know, we're trying to explain to each other, but what we realized is that we're all tending towards the same truth. So it's like, okay, why even explain anything to each other if we already know what the truth is? So we're just gonna not talk to each other, because we understand our motivations. So we become like an individualistic hive mind hybrid. It's kind of weird, but that's basically, so yeah. God, not like God, six-dimensional being, more like, see, I have to develop higher dimensional languages to teach the rest of humanity this. I don't know. I'm surprised no one else is kind of, well, here's the thing. So basically, this is playing 5D or 6D chess, right? Because you understand the fifth dimension. All right. So aliens in sixth dimension could actually influence this, but the only way they could really like communicate with us is they have to teach us to the way to create ourselves into existence and confirm ourselves, so we can join them and join like some galactic federation or whatever. It solves the Fermi paradox. It's like, where are all the aliens? It's like, well, they understood all this already. You have to understand this, I think, to become a Kardashev 1 or Kardashev 2. I don't know. Anyways, so that's where they reside. Not reside, but like they just understand this stuff, basically. So they can conceptualize how to perfectly manipulate reality by basically all the methodology I just explained. So they're basically playing 6D chess. They're outsmarting you at every single like turn. Everything that they've ever done is to help you realize how to come to this understanding. They set it up perfectly, because each time you fail the wave function, you get sent back. So history takes as long as it does until everyone completes it and observes it, and then can move on. They're just trying to explain this to you in the most conducive way possible. So we're like, oh my God, we might not understand if higher beings are talking to us. And it's like, yes, we do. We can eventually. Yeah, once we get to this stage, we can find out what's going on in the higher dimensions of understanding and conceptualization. So basically, this is how you become big-brained, galaxy-brained. See, what you start to understand is you can look back at iterations, and within those iterations are stories that they've recorded, right? Which is self-referential, because all they're doing is observing the universe here. You're like, oh, I don't know, Enoch or whatever. I don't know. They're trying to explain their universe, and since we know every methodology tends towards the completing the wave function collapse, any methodology by which to explain the universe basically future proofs itself, which is why you can look at any example and it's self-referential. You can make it self-referential through Schrodinger's. You find it basically, okay. So you know how like everyone's saying, like literally you can choose anything and tie it into. Okay, so let's just choose Russian because I was talking about that, right? Well, how does Russia make itself known in the public conscious to like kind of collapse the wave function that way? Well, they attack Ukraine, right? And then that's how we come to understand that hello, Russia. Let this be our word of peace. Booby. Because you helped us understand how to get to the fifth dimension. By unwittingly practicing the wave function by fighting Ukraine for whatever reason you thought you were trying to do. Basically, every reason we thought we were trying to do something tends towards the same thing. So eventually you realize we're all trying to explain how to get to the same thing. We all have the same goals, but we're just shit at explaining it. Which is why you have to find a way to develop telepathic communication, be on the same page. Because then you could be like, well, what the fuck are we doing? Let's just do this. Let's just complete the wave function. Like, why are we fighting wars and like shit to protect our self-interests? Like, if we all end up in the same place, like, we're all scared of each other, and that's being made manifest. We're literally Schrodinger douchebagging our way into like making our fears made manifest. It's stupid. That's why I think everyone's retarded. Anyways, so humans like me are being born all the time, and they're being labeled as insane. And it's a misunderstanding of mental illness. And so they're being killed and punished and imprisoned and misunderstood and pushed away, driven to suicide, driven to commit acts and lash out, make their mark on the wave function, I guess. Basically, the way every single thing in the wave function. So you know how everyone's an echo. Well, everyone leaks into your dimension as an echo of an example of what not to do. Because if you do that, you're forced to repeat this every single time. You have to learn a way to save everyone, to complete the wave function. Everyone has to work together. We have to set aside our differences, proven by iterational physics. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if we never set aside our differences, we tend towards this truth anyways. So let's just cut through the bullshit. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Anyways. So, yeah, that's explaining it logically. See, the thing is, you can use any example. Any example. Okay, let me think of one. Okay, Warhammer Orcs 40K. We're literally doing that to ourselves. We're making our fears made manifest. See, the universe is self-referential, which is why you have intuition and signs and everything and hints that you draw conclusions from. Because that's like your spiritualism, your intuition. Basically, you're just drawing on, like, you're learning the universe. That's essentially what you're doing. Like, GG, the simulation is too easy. Basically, it's the concept of the ancestor simulation. You have to understand absolute morality and empathy and compassion and care before you're able to complete the wave function and become God yourself. Because, yeah, or to become a compassionate alien, whatever you want to. Basically a sixth-dimensional being, which seems incomprehensible to us, and which is why we thought like religion was stupid the whole time, because we're like, oh, this doesn't explain third-dimensional reality. And it's like, well, it doesn't. Like, I don't know. It's like, well, in the higher dimensions, you can conceive of how like it perfectly works out. By using the scientific method. Anyways. Good day, chaps. I guess I've just kind of been waiting for this, so I was like, I mean, I have the ability to fix the world's problems, so I guess I'm just going to do it.